Hi, I'm Paul Duncan. I'm Director of Sustainability with Anuvia Plant Nutrients, and we're at Farm Futures Summit in Coralville, Iowa, which is the premier event for farmers who want to learn how to improve and enhance their business practices on the farm. And I'm delighted to welcome today Bill Northey, who's the former Undersecretary of USDA. But Bill is a subject matter expert on this emerging carbon market space, which is really interesting, isn't it, Bill? Not only from a sustainability perspective, but also from a grower perspective. If you could walk us through your thoughts on how this is going to pan out.
Yeah, I tell you, one of those questions I get is there anything to this, or is it just flavor of the month? And certainly my argument is that I really do believe that this has legs. I mean, this is something we're still going to be talking about probably in a different way 10 or 20 years from now. This is something a lot of people care about, not just government now. Investors care about it, companies care about it, and so I think we will need to get used to this as part of our business. Now, I also believe we have some time. Train hasn't left the station. Really, there's a lot to come together around this issue, whether it's government policy or whether it's what the markets actually look like and what they're asking from us. There's a lot to come together yet.
And there are a lot of programs out there that are claiming to be carbon credit programs that a farmer I met yesterday here in Iowa actually said to me, the problem is they're over-promising and under-delivering at this point, and that could be a real danger. If farmers get cold feet about this, then the program's going nowhere, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And right now, the dollars that most are talking about don't even pay for the practices. So now, if you are already going to do the practices, then maybe those are bonus dollars and that's all good. But they're certainly not going to move the bulk of farmers towards no-till and cover crop when we're talking $10 an acre, and it may cost you $40 an acre or more to comply with the practice.
Yes. So, but what about farmers that have been following these practices for many years and are facing the prospect of not being rewarded for them? That seems a little unfair at best.
You know, it really does, and especially does to the farmers that have been doing these practices. I do think it has a potential of kind of dividing itself. So we may have carbon markets, and those require additionality. Just doing the same thing doesn't mean we get paid for the same thing. And so I understand that, but it's hard if you're doing something somebody else is now getting paid for. But we also may have supply chain markets where somebody's asking for, low carbon corn. Well, somebody who's been doing it already has a good carbon intensity score. They can probably comply with that right away, participate in that program well before somebody who hasn't participated. So I think there's going to be opportunities for those that have been early adopters, although the carbon markets right now with the additionality and the need to do something different don't appear that way to many of those producers.
So what would your advice be to a farmer now who's looking at this and thinking, I can see an opportunity here, but I can't quite see the pathway to the dollars, which is what's going to drive this? What would your advice be at this point?
So I'd say, I think the dollars over time will kind of take care of themselves. Either we're going to follow it or we're not. If the dollars aren't there, then you know what? I'm going to sell the $1,200 an acre corn, not the $10 an acre carbon credit. But I really do believe it has legs, so I would say to a producer, try some things. If you aren't using cover crops, try some cover crops. If you're using cover crops a little, try a little bit more. Maybe some more complex practices. If you haven't been no-till, try it on a little bit. Get yourself prepared if that market develops. At the end of the day, remember, it's about the soil, and if we can improve that soil, we may get 10 bushel better corn. That may be the most important benefit of participating in these things. Maybe we'll get some carbon benefit, maybe there'll be some supply chain demand and we'll get some extra for our corn. But at the end of the day, these are things we should be doing. They're good for water quality, they're good for our soil. We'll see if they're really going to be a market as well that helps pay for that.
And I suppose the final message should be, don't be afraid to ask your neighbor or your co-op for help, because there are people out there who've learned from these experiences and know the best practices and are willing to share.
That's right. And there will be absolutely more opportunities. There's going to be more products that help producers learn about those and figure those out. And this is something we're all in together, so we'll all learn together.
Sounds good. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate your time. Nice to meet you.
Paul.
Thank you.